Good morning, Bellingham. Welcome to today's 10 o'clock update. Today is Wednesday, June 10th. We're going to get started with the information on how we look for the pandemic from Bruce, please.
Good morning. Filling in for Mark, where he's diligently working away a project at his house there. In Massachusetts, we have 103,889 total cases with 7,408 deaths. 658,058 people have been tested. In the United States, 1,956,421 total cases with 110,925 deaths. Numbers are up just a whisker over yesterday, but still looking good. We had 263 cases reported with 55 deaths. It's about 70 people more than yesterday, but still well below what we were looking at. So we're on a good track still here. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the testing. The day before yesterday, 258 people were tested. Yesterday, 740 people were tested. Wow. So that's quite a bit more. So I expect to see a little fluctuation like that. Right. But other than that, I think we're doing very well. Our board met last night, very simple meeting. We're going to be posting for our tobacco agent who is retiring.
Great. Thank you very much, Bruce. All right, let's turn it over to Esther for what things are looking like here in Bellingham.
Good morning. Just to speak quickly on those numbers that Bruce reported, that jump that we're seeing could also be from the new serology testing that is taking place. They are now being counted in the numbers. However, the serology doesn't indicate whether it's an active infection or a previous infection. So I think that's kind of important to keep in mind as well. For the town of Bellingham, we've had 942 residents tested with a total of 138 confirmed cases. We have 5 active cases in town with 122 recovered and 11 deaths.
What's encouraging is we've seen that number pretty steady.
Since last Friday, 138, so it has really stuck, and the fact that we are down to just 5 active cases.
Really is.
People are doing what they're being asked to do.
Right.
That's what it takes.
It's really positive output, yes.
Great.
Did we want to get into questions first or bring our special guest in?
There is one question. Usually I prep Esther. I did not today, so we'll see if she's on her A game, which I know she is. When will the general public have the opportunity to be tested for antibodies? Many people feel they may have had COVID-19 in late 2019 and want to know where they stand.
So you can actually go to the hospital now and ask for that testing to be done. A lot of the local hospitals are offering that. You may want to touch base with your primary care provider first because they may have the option to do it right in the office for you. So it is available. I know Mass General was doing a big study and requesting people to come in and be tested. I also know that Milford Hospital has been running those antibody tests as well. And that's the serology test that I was referring to. That's basically what the serology test is. It's an antibody test. They're testing for 3 different types of antibodies. So that test is available now.
Thank you, Esther. Any question that we have?
All right, I'd like to invite Representative Mike Soter to come and join us and give us an update on what's happening up at Beacon Hill and 8th Worcester District and Bellingham. All things, yes.
It's like you're testifying.
Double the trouble. Where were you on the night of?
First, I'd like to congratulate Bellingham on the turnout last night for your election, town election, and I want to congratulate all the candidates that ran, that won, and I know how hard that is. I was reflecting a little bit with Eric yesterday on the fact that 2011, this was very similar to when I first ran. It was a 3-way race that's selected. There was a lot of buzz going around about different things happening in town. Turnout was similar, high. It's different because you could actually campaign and do things, but everybody did a great job in a pandemic doing what they needed to do to make sure that everybody got out to turn out to vote. So I commend everybody for doing that. I commend all the voters and the people in the town turning out. As far as just to kind of what Esther was talking about with the antibody test, yes, call your primary care physician. Those are definitely available. tests are made more available. The other thing I want to really advocate for, which I think Dennis knows, I've been really pushing for another testing site or a testing site in Bellingham. CVS is open as a drive-through. You still have to go on. You have to fill out the questionnaire. You're going to get an appointment. They can do up to 50 tests a day out of that location, which, doesn't seem like a lot, but a lot of people really aren't using it heavily. I've been monitoring and I haven't really talked to them about it, but it's there, it's available. And the only way we're really going to flatten this curve and really kind of get back to normal is if more and more people, if they feel the symptoms are there, don't second guess yourself. If you kind of go through that checklist, you should actually go through that checklist online, and you don't have to go to your primary care physician. You don't have to go to call your doctor. You can do it right through their network. CVS will do it, and you go through the drive-through, and they tell you how to self-swab, and then you drop it in the bucket on the way out through the drive-through.
Is there a cost associated with that?
I believe they take your insurance, but I think the insurance companies are fully covering everything for the test. Yeah. So
okay.
I believe, so there shouldn't be. The governor, that was one of the reasons why CVS stepped to the plate on this, because they can handle it through the network and see if you're using it. So I'm not going to hesitate on my feelings about what's probably going to be announced for the school openings. I'm not very happy. I think it's very draconian, what we're going to be doing to these children going back to school. I'm going to send a very tough letter to the secretary asking him to really rethink how he's putting these guidelines together for these schools, because I think that we put these kids through enough, and I think there's a better way of doing it. Personally, I advocate, if we're spending all this money anyway, what we should be doing is probably testing every child and every teacher before they go back to school in September, and then maybe do the same thing when they come back from like a Christmas break, etc.
Just get a sense of what it's.
Just to get a sense, you can isolate people right away, you can quarantine the sick right away, and you control the spread. And let's face it, I mean, that's the biggest concern that everybody has. And I think if we can reduce enough tests and everybody could get tested, I think that is going to be the way to do it. I just think what we're asking children to do and the sacrifices we're asking them to make is extremely, extremely disheartening. And I'm not very happy with the secretary or the administration, for that matter, coming up with a plan like they have. So, but we are going to address it. Unfortunately, he's got to get the plan out and running so these schools can figure it out. But, not having recesses and 10 kids per class, it's just not going to. I don't know how you're going to be able to, from a municipal side, financially manage that, unless we're fully
work with that, right?
unless we're fully going to state funded, which you all know that probably isn't going to happen. So that's why I'm worried. Most municipalities are keeping their head above water with educational costs right now. So I'm just a little bit concerned about where we're going forward. As far as the state budget goes, I strongly advocate you start working on your budget with the assumption that you're going to be looking at a cut locally. What that cut will be could be anywhere. This is just purely guessing on my part, but from a budgetary standpoint, I would take the assumption that your local aid is going to be cut anywhere between 5 and 10%.
Well, that's good, because we took the assumption with the budget that we're presenting to town meeting that our local aid would be cut 10%. So we're right in there. That was the $1.5 million, that $1.7 million, I think, that we trimmed between our local receipts, what we're expecting a major reduction in local receipts, because many of the things that people are spending money on, new cars, excise tax, meals tax, et cetera, will be down. So that obviously it could be more, but I think we're in that parameter.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And I always say at the end of obviously you have the authority under the law that we passed. You have the authority to deficit spend. You had to, because until we pass the budget, I strongly wouldn't advocate that you don't deficit spend. You could do it, but I would strongly advocate that you don't, because one, statutorily, you probably have, if you, just saying, not that there is going to be, but if there are layoffs and you statutorily have to have those layoffs out there, you don't want to be prolonging something that if you're going to have to do, you got to do. So we're advocating, a lot of us legislators, there was 48 of us, I believe, on a signed letter asking House Ways and Means Chair, the governor, in their budgets to keep them level funded for Chapter 70 in local aid to municipalities. You also have to understand the receipts for lottery are way down, which also funds education. So, you know, I come with, you know, we've gotten through the kind of the rough part of the pandemic here, hopefully, but now it's the financial troubles that we're looking at. I am happy to announce restaurants are opening, and I want to commend Bellingham for really taking the lead in this area for establishing what everybody, and actually the state, used. And I know Jim studied that wholeheartedly, and you should be commended for what you guys have all done here. It's a lot of work.
His team and Dan Spencer, chairman of the board, who really pushed for that early on. So.
Yeah, and we are very excited. A lot of businesses in this town are investing a lot of money, and I'm happy to announce that we did get that $30,000 grant from the Attorney General, which is utilized for some things for small business owners with all the costs they incurred. So I would encourage people to keep the social distancing, you know, wear the masks as much as possible, follow the guidelines, the numbers are there. I also want people to realize as we open up, you have been quarantining for about, 13 weeks now, pretty much, staying at home. Your bodies haven't been susceptible to many other things out there. You are, you know, our bodies are generally fight bacteria as we go on, and people are going to get sick. And, you know, that's the facts of it. There's nothing there that doesn't tell us anything different. But the grateful thing is summertime, generally speaking, we don't have as many of those types of viruses. And as this, we're being told, this virus seems to really die down in the high heat and humidity. But more people are going to get tested. And as they get tested, your numbers, you're going to start seeing. I know a lot of people are concerned with the numbers that I send out when they keep asking me, and they say, you keep saying the curve is flat. Well, it is. I mean, we're just more people are getting tested,
Right.
and that's what we have to make sure of. So I'm sorry I don't come with better news on the budget front. We're all in it together. It's not going to be easy. We're strongly advocating, and we're hoping for, I think as a state, we can make, fundamentally, we can make cuts elsewhere in other things, not in education costs, not in public safety costs, in local aid and things like that that are desperately needed. And other than that, I mean, I can answer any questions that you might have for me. And
No, it's been a long couple of months, and when we have disasters, we've had disasters before, as you know, when you're on the board with people out of power and problems, and that's when people are really tested. And I just want to thank you for all you've done for our community. The response, the involvement that you've had has just been phenomenal, Mike. We knew, you know, your service on the board, how you responded here in Bellingham for what you're doing. I'm sure you're doing it through the district, and Eric in your office, Eric, guys, has just been phenomenal with getting back to people. And the biggest thing, even if you can't help out, a return call means an awful lot to people, and I know you always do that, so we appreciate that.
I do want to give one update on UI, because I know a lot of people are getting fraudulent claims. I want the public to understand something. If you received a UI claim that was fraudulent, or notification of a UI claim, and you didn't apply, it was fraudulent, it's not a breach in our system in the state. It means your social security number was compromised. It's similar to your social security number was probably compromised at some point. The criminals were just looking for an opportunity to use your social security number. And a lot of identity theft during downturns in the economy are the easiest ways, because everybody, and because it's such an influx of unemployment, sometimes those things fly under the radar screen. I know Bellingham as a town received a lot of notices for the municipality that were fraudulent, and will help. You know, there's an app, there is a link that you have to go to, fill out the form, they'll freeze it, from there. But if we're still having problems, you can call
Reach
our
out to you
office.
guys.
Yeah, and definitely we'll work through that. I know some people are having some problems with their UI because of this, and we're working, helping through those as much as we can. And, you know, I feel bad for the folks, because we're on the Rhode Island border. I do feel bad for the folks that do live in Massachusetts but work in Rhode Island. And unfortunately, Rhode Island is not moving as quick as we are on some of these things, even though it doesn't seem like we're moving quick. Rhode Island unemployment is not moving as quick as they should be. And we're trying to get into contacts down there, but it's very hard for us. And the last thing is the stimulus checks. We will help you reach out to your congressman in precincts 4A and 5. That's Jim McGovern in this town. And then the rest of the town is Congressman Kennedy. And I have to just say that Congressman Kennedy's office has been exceptional. And I can say that not just because he's running for U.S. Senate. He has been since the day I took office. If I needed anything, the Congressman's office is jumping right on it. And I know we have a little issue with mailboxes on Center Street, and the Congressman's office is working on it. So I was actually asked about that at the polls yesterday. So we're working on that. And the Congressman's office has been very, very responsive. So, and I can't say it enough. The town has done a fantastic job responding to this pandemic. And I just want to commend everybody. I want to commend Larry for running an unbelievable election, smooth, good turnout. Probably wasn't smooth in his mind, but you know, it was just great to walk in there. We passed election laws now where it's, you know, requests for absentee ballots are going to automatically go out to the public. You should turn those in if you don't want to come in person. I think you got a little test of what it's going to look like, I guess, in November. And we know that November's turnout is going to be a lot higher, a lot busier. Another test will be the primary. Obviously, we have a contested primary for U.S. Senate, so it's going to be a big turnout. I would just encourage people to follow the town clerk's direction on the new election laws that have been passed. Ballots will be going out. And I think all the funding mechanisms and everything have been put in place for that. So I think the town is not going to have to worry too much about that moving forward. But that's where we are for that. So.
Great. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
All right.
It's a great segue to invite Larry. Did you want to come up and give the results for the election? I know we had, what, over 2,300 people came out? 2283. I rounded up. Optimism,
So,
you know.
It was actually 2,283. It was a great turnout. People have interest in a couple of the races, since most of them are actually uncontested, but except for selection and obviously the question on the override that we had on the ballot. So sure, people want to know the answer to those, to building up the suspense a little. As far as Board of Selectmen goes, people that John Martinez was reelected for another 3-year term, and we have a newcomer, Kelly Grant, that was elected for a 3-year term. And as the ballot question, anyone that's not aware, the 2.5 override did pass, so will be implemented in the next budget, correct? So I just wanted to thank everybody. And by the way, I also want to congratulate the people that ran uncontested. They were lucky enough, I guess, not to have to run a race, but I want to congratulate them as well. We will have the official results hopefully posted to the website by tomorrow for people to review. I may even get them done today. We're just kind of double checking everything before I actually certify the election. And I want to thank everyone that came to vote and all the people that ran for office. It was nice to have a race for a change. It was making life interesting, to say the least. And I just wish it hadn't coincided with COVID, but it didn't, so we got through it. We will be doing things a little bit differently, as Mike was just stating, that there have been some major changes in the election law that I will be talking about between now and November. that will hopefully make it easier for people to vote. And it remains to be seen how it changes the workload, because obviously if we get, this time we had about 400 absentee ballot applications go out. If we multiply that by 10 or more, it's going to require quite a difference in the labor force and the time that would take to get it done. So, which reminds me, I asked everybody to be patient with us and flexible at the polls yesterday. And I have to say that 99.9% of them were. So I'm really grateful for that. And I thank everyone for having that kind of an attitude. And it really helped to get through the day. We had a few glitches, but everything worked out very well. So again, the actual results will be posted very soon. If you have any questions, you can give us a call in the office. And now it's on to the town meeting.
Right.
That is June 22nd. I have to get the button. That is on June 22nd.
Great. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
Again, great job. Absolutely. I thought I saw Nadine on the screen, but I think we might have lost her from Connected Inspired. Other thing I thought we could worth mentioning, the beach passes are selling like hotcakes, right?
Oh my God, yes.
You can get those online
Get
through the
those
website.
online. Playgrounds are open now. We've got some signage down there. We ask people to do all the safe things that they need to do. I hate to keep saying it,
I know,
but we've got signs up reminding them. And it's important with children because children just want to touch and grab, and it's just the nature of little kids. But we try to make sure that parents basically provide that supervision to make sure that their children are safe. So we've got the playgrounds at Silver Lake open, and I know the one at the town commons open. We do have some signs up, and we've got some other ones. Jim had a great prototype of a playground sign, and we've got those being produced now, so we'll have those in place as well.
excellent.
Yeah.
Also want to encourage everybody to get out and check out the restaurants that have outdoor seating. It's our opportunity to support them during these trying times. I've seen some very creative use of parking lot space to try to make it feel like we're at a restaurant. So I encourage you all to get out and treat yourself to a nice meal at one of our local establishments. Other than that, I think we have a wrap, other than to encourage you to join us again on Friday, where we're going to be interviewing Kelly Grant, the new Board of Select person. All right, thanks. Have a great day.